Sighting your rifle in something that should be easy, a lot of people struggle with. It shouldn't take you more than 5 or 6 rounds. One problem a lot of people have is they assume that their scope was put on correctly, they assume the factory tightened down the screws right, any of the above. You want to check that out before you get to the range. Make sure everything's tight. You've got your action screws to check, your base screws to check, your scope ring screws to check. You also have your bore sight to check if you know how to do that. You may have a device at home that you can check it with, you may not. If not, you can always check it at the range if you know how to do it. Assuming that you have all that done right, you're at the range, it's time to shoot. You're going to want to build yourself a steady rest. That means you're going to have bags up front or something up front, bipod, you're going to have something in the back. You want a secure platform to shoot off of. We're going for accuracy here. We're not trying to simulate a hunting situation at this point. We're trying to see what your rifle can do. So you're going to want to sight in at whatever distance you want, 50, 100 yards. These are 100-yard groups. I like to sight in like this. The reason I do this is this indicates where my crosshairs are. I can come up, I can bracket my aiming point, in this case a circle. I use a circle because I'm cheap and that's what the shoot and see targets normally come with. Best thing is to use a square because obviously it's a square. It fits your reticle nicely. So you can come up, you can bracket that in there, you can get rid of the space here, you can get rid of your space here. Same thing with the circle, you're just left with a little half moon. It's a definitive aiming point. We're trying to be accurate. You don't want to hold in the center of a diamond and just kind of wobble all over the place. Definitive. Be as definitive as you can. Trying to shoot for accuracy. So you shot a 5-shot group. This is fairly average. It's not a good group. Bad, actually. About 2.5 inches. So you would come back to your original aiming point. You would adjust your scope down to the center of that group. Once that's done, take a break. Rest for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, take a walk, play on the phone. What you're doing is you're letting that barrel cool back down to ambient temperature. We're trying to simulate what your first shot is going to be like when hunting. Hopefully you haven't humped 7, 8 rounds down a deer or a hog, whatever you're shooting at. So you want to get a cold barrel. Once you have that cold barrel back to ambient temperature, you're going to come back, fire another shot. With a group this large, that means you have 2.5, 3 inches where that bullet can be in a circle around your aiming point. The more you know about your rifle, the more you can narrow that down. As you can see, this particular group, you've only got about a little over 1 inch spread left-right, but you have a good spread up and down. So if you know that about your rifle, then you'll be able to tell that if you have one way over here, that's something that's an anomaly, that's you making a bad shot. Something else happens, so you can disregard that one and come back. But a lot of people don't spend that much time, and I don't blame them. They don't spend that much time learning how their hunting rifle shoots. So if you have something that fits inside this circle, once you adjust your scope, you're sighted in. You're good. Good to go. The better you can get your group, the more accurate your rifle, the easier this is, the more confidence you're going to feel while shooting. Here we're aiming at the same spot right here. Center of the group's right here. It's a little over 1 inch probably. Best case scenario is you have a rifle that can shoot. It's not a one-hole group, but it made a large hole. We were aiming right here, we can come over here, put our aiming spot there. Now we know that any shot we're going to shoot is going to touch our aiming point, which is nice, makes you feel more confident. You can put that one-shot kill on whatever you're trying to hit. One thing about scopes when you go to adjust it, there's 2 things you can do. The easiest way, and it doesn't sound as easy, and it requires you have a stable platform, is you go ahead, you shot your group, you come back to where you're aiming, put your gun steady on the rest, get ready to turn your dial, remember where you started before you turn it, then look through your scope and actually watch where your reticle goes. That's the easiest thing to do. You're not going to get mixed up, you're not going to turn your dial the wrong way. If you do turn your dial the wrong way, you're going to see it because you're actually watching. The other way that people like to do this, and they kind of mess it up a lot because they just don't sight in rifles all that often, is they go by what their scope says. Scopes are labeled wrong for the most part. When your scope says up, it's actually moving the reticle down. It's pretending it's moving the group, like somehow magically moving your scope is moving your group from your rifle up to here. You're moving your scope to where your rifle shoots, not the other way around. It's important to say it again. You are moving your scope to where your rifle shoots. So, if you can do it and you can read your adjustments, whatever they are, 1/4 inch at 100, 1/10 of a mil at 100, 1/2 inch at 100, what that means is each click is going to be one of those values going the direction. As I said, the turrets are labeled opposite. So if it says up, it's going down. If it says right, it's going left. So remember that if you're trying to do it that way. Another thing that's important is that you come out with the ammunition that you're going to hunt with. Don't come out with 2 rounds of Core-Lokt from last year and say, well, I'll just switch to Winchester or PowerPoints. They may be close, probably will be fairly close, at least for hunting deer around here, 100-200 yards. It's not going to make that big a difference. But try to shoot the same ammo that you're going to hunt with. It's not guaranteed it's going to always be in the same impact spot. Same thing goes if you shoot a suppressor. If you're going to shoot a suppressor, shoot that when you're sighting in. Don't shoot it unsuppressed and then think it's going to be in the same spot. Very often it's not. That one I wouldn't take any chances on. Shoot with the suppressor. Shoot with the muzzle brake. If you're going to have anything on the edge of your barrel, shoot with that on there when you're going to be sighting in. It's also important to note that you should shoot the rifle without the suppressor or without the muzzle brake, just in case something happens. Maybe the night before your wife's yelling at you because you're going hunting, you're going to be away from the kids, or your dog's peeking on the carpet or something like that. It doesn't matter what it is. If you get distracted and you don't bring that device, you don't want to drive 4 hours and then get there and find out that you have to ruin your morning hunt by having to sight in. So if you get that information beforehand, you'll know it. What you want to do on that is very simple. You get sighted in as normal, suppressor's on there, you get your group, you get your scope sight in for that, you're ready to go. Take it off. Same aiming point, fire another group. Let's say it's 4 inches low and an inch to the left. You don't want to change anything, you just want to write that down on a piece of masking tape or something sticky. Put it inside of your rifle scope cover, put it on the side of your stock, something like that, so you have that information in case you forget your device. So, sighting in, to reiterate, you want to make sure everything is tight on your firearm. You want to have a good steady rest. Remember, we're going for accuracy. And remember, if you want to adjust your scope by the way it's labeled, that's cool, but I recommend that you get used to looking through the scope and changing the reticle, watching the reticle move as you move it. And as I said earlier, make sure you remember where you started. If you do go the other direction or you bump something, you can always just turn back to where you were, get your aiming point back, your original aiming point back, and then start again. If you have any trouble sighting your rifle in, don't want to, don't have time, bring it on by Cedar Ridge Range, sight them in all the time. Normally about 5 or 6 rounds will do it. We like to ask for 10 just in case something goes wrong. Check out FerrisFirearms.com, CedarRidgeRange.com for more information. Thank you. Bye.